There was a bit of a scuffle, House Bill 196 and House Bill 458. And some of you may not be familiar with that. We're just gonna talk about it quickly. Those are two bills that actually merged together. 196 gave access to Medical Cannabis Commission and be subjected to the Administrative Procedure Act and laws governing the Open Meetings and Open Records Act. House Bill 458 was related to hemp farming, related to the offenses against public health and morals. It also prohibited the purchase of sale and offering of samples of hemp products by or to any individual under the age of 21 years, and to provide inspection, enforcement, and penalties for violations. The bill sought to address the rash of lawsuits by 9 companies that lost bids for licensing, that were holding up the licensing process by asking the Commissioner of Agriculture to mediate their complaints. The bills also called for the abolishment of the commission's lawmakers created in 2019 to oversee the medical cannabis program and turning over its duties to the Georgia Department of Agriculture. And these two bills were merged together. There was a huge scuffle on the floor regarding the politics of this situation. And we're gonna start with David. We're gonna introduce our panel and give a little bio. We're just gonna a little twist. But we're gonna start with David. If you could elaborate on those two bills that merged and explain any of the politics that you saw as a Georgia citizen from that perspective.
Well, thank you very much, and I'll just address these topics as opposed to telling you everything about what I'm trying to do here or in the future for sensible cannabis legislation. But these two bills are important to understand what was going on, because the first one, House Bill 196, really said, should the Medical Cannabis Board act within the normal operating laws of every other agency in the government, right? That doesn't seem like a hard one for us to get behind. We should have the Medical Cannabis Board be completely open about their business policies and practices, so that we as citizens who elected those folks, and great folks like Representative Thomas here, to actually speak our words and what we want to have happen. So in closure, those people, they created a tight-knit community to keep the public from understanding how their motivations came about or why their motivations came about. So to finish on 196, if you don't know, I ran for Agriculture Commissioner unsuccessfully in the last election under a plank of cannabis is agriculture, because in my heart I believe that completely. So all of these issues are really solved once we understand and accept that. So 196 is about the normal businesses practices, and so yes, we do want that to be clearly adopted and understood. Now that it's merged, I look forward to seeing the other language. Now, for the other one, the 458, talked more about penalization for misbehavior, right, than setting up the rules. So, without going into everything other than this brief moment here, it is really important that we get our legislators a clean bill that they can promote to get sensible cannabis legislation to us, the people, right? Because that's what we want. We don't want to determine, and we're going to kind of get off track if we kind of just say, well, and it's doctors, excuse me, but the medical side of this is just one part of it. And all the other parts of this are being kind of overlooked because of different special interest groups and how we go about it, right? So what I'm going after now is to understand and bringing everyone together in a simple idea of one question that I think everybody will agree with. Should cannabis be treated similarly to alcohol and tobacco, right? So think of that just for a second. Those are the two syntaxes that we've already agreed to, that we've already accepted. Why wouldn't cannabis just fall under those same restrictions, minor or reasonable taxation, reasonable legislation, and like in 458, I don't think kids should have access to cannabis unless it came from a prescription that their parents are administering, right? Just like booze. My kid can't go down and buy me a fifth of liquor until they're old enough, right? We already are accepted these things, but for some reason, because of the stigma of cannabis, we've kind of let ourselves be manipulated a certain way. So again, I don't want to take up everyone's time, and thank you very much for having me. This is not the first event that you've invited me to, so thank you very much. I'll be here for the rest of the day. But those two issues, that bill should be merged, the legislation really should be done, and if it was up to me, I'd completely dissolve the Medical Cannabis Board and just legalize cannabis, which is what we all want.
Would you just state your name for the audience, please? State your name for the audience.
David RAUDABAUGH.
And let me just tell you a little bit about David. He's a 40-year Georgia resident. He's an activist for cannabis. He's an owner of Chicaro.
Actually, I say Chirico.
Chirico.
Chirico. You know, everyone's happy with these products. And they're all samples here to talk about different products, about cannabis-related products. There's hundreds of them. It's not just the flower. So that's what Chirico is about, the education and availability and access to products.
Great, and we can find more information at chirico.org.
Yes.
Okay, and he's also a resource for cannabis products, education, and training. David's most recent effort is called the Legal Cannabis Association. This is a nonprofit effort to bringing concerned voters and cannabis industry professionals together with a single goal of creating sensible cannabis legislation. Many of you know David from his unsuccessful run for agriculture commissioner. I didn't put that word unsuccessful. I don't even use that.
Well, we want to be honest.
Where he has made his campaign plank of cannabis as agriculture, what he just said, and also something that he said, a clean version of legislation. And these pieces of legislation had so many revisions, and it might not have been ready to come to the floor of that session, but sometimes we try to rush things and push things out, and that's how we don't get things passed, because you want to make sure that it makes sense for both parties to get something passed. I did vote for both of the bills when they did come to the floor. 458, House Bill 458 came out of the Agriculture Committee, and House Bill 196 came out of Regulated Industries. So we know that either one of those committees are going to be pushing out a piece of legislation, and we want you to all be active and contact your state representatives and senators, but start with the committees. So start with the Agricultural Committee members and start with the Regulated Industry Committee members, and let them know your thoughts on the bills when they come out. If you sign in with me, I'll be keeping you updated throughout the session that starts next Monday. And as drafts or revisions come through, you will be receiving emails from me and any other information that I have on those bills that I talk to my colleagues about. And so you'll be